Page 74, we're going to do some reviewing for lessons 1.1 through 1.5. So if you look at the first lesson was rational numbers as decimals. And our focus here really is just on decimals that repeat right after the decimal point. Do remember though, even though they don't have it here, you guys could also see something that is just a plain decimal not repeating. You guys have done that before. You know, just think about how you would read the decimal properly, and we could say that's 13 hundredths, so that would be 13 hundredths as a decimal. Always make sure you can reduce if possible. Okay, what we're looking at on these problems here is things that are repeating. So we've talked about before, if something repeats right after the decimal, the book goes through this process, which you need to do that if it doesn't repeat right after the decimal. In the scheme of things, that's probably not going to happen too often that I'm going to worry about it with you guys. So let's just look at these and see what these would be as fractions or mixed numbers. So if a number repeats right after the decimal, if it's just one digit that repeats after the decimal, we can put it over 9. So that's 7 over 9. If you had a calculator, you could check it by dividing that. 7 divided by 9, and you should get 0.777, so on. Just remember the last digit the calculator is going to round, so you'll see an 8 at the end of that on your calculator if you do that. But we can verify then that we did that correctly. We're going to skip down to number 3 then. Number 3, if you'll notice, we do have a whole number part, so we know it's going to be 4 and something. The question is, what is the something? So since we have 2 digits that repeat after the decimal, that's going to be 45 over 99. However many digits repeat after the decimal, that's how many 9s we're going to have. So 9 and 45 99ths. And both of these can actually be reduced by a factor of 9, which would be 4 and 5/11ths. At that point, we can't reduce any further, so that would be our answer. Number 4, they wrote as whatever decimals there. We could rewrite that as 2.19. The 19 is repeating. So that has 2 digits repeating right after the decimal. So that would be 2 and 19 over 99. Lesson 2 talks about understanding irrational numbers. What we're going to be doing for the most part here is just telling whether these numbers are rational or irrational. So irrational, the book gives us a definition here. Basically, irrational is going to be something where the decimals keep going and they don't repeat themselves. So these are examples of irrational. Square root of 2, 1.1211211112, and so on. It's a pattern, but it's not exactly the same thing repeating. Pi, you know, keeps going, doesn't repeat. Negative square root of 3. Anything under the square root, if it doesn't come out evenly, or a cube root that doesn't come out evenly, would be irrational. So that's probably the easiest way to look at it, what's irrational, and then if it's not that, then it would be rational. So on number 1, they're wanting us to tell which of these are irrational. So if you do these, square root of 36 is 6. We know 6 times 6 is 36. That comes out evenly, so that's rational. Square root of 23, that's going to fill up your whole screen on your calculator, or again, just think about, 5 times 5 is 25, 4 times 4 is 16. 23 is not a perfect square, so that's not going to come out evenly. Even without a calculator, we can tell that's not going to work. So that would be one of these. That would be irrational. The next one here is repeating. Repeating is rational. They both start with R's, maybe to help you remember that. The next one, there's a pattern, but it's not exactly repeating itself the same thing every time. So that would be irrational. The next one is a repeating part to it. So we didn't talk about how to exactly do that, but that could be written as a fraction. That's repeating there at the end. So that's rational. Pi keeps going, doesn't repeat. About 3.14159, whatever. but it keeps going, doesn't repeat, so that's irrational as well. If we look at number 2, they could have just probably threw this in there with number 1, but anyway, we'll just look at one number now, whether that's rational or irrational. And this would be rational. Explanation for that, we could say it's a repeating decimal. Okay, remember, for it to be irrational, the decimal has to keep going but not repeat itself. If we go back to our definition of rational, remember rational, the first part is ratio, which is like a fraction comparing things. So another way of saying it is we could write it as a fraction with two integers, would be negative 25 over 99. Lesson 3, talking about comparing and ordering real numbers. We look at number 1. This would be a problem we could be asked to do without our calculators. Between which two whole numbers does the square root of 89 lie? So what we're trying to do is think of some perfect squares that are close to that. So this is kind of how we talked about doing a lot of these problems. Think of perfect squares. So a number times itself that's kind of sort of close to 89 is what we're looking for. So one of these perfect squares, if you think about your multiplication facts, maybe you might be able to come up with this. So like thinking through 7 times 7 is 49, 8 times 8 is 64, 9 times 9 is 81. Oh, that's getting kind of close. 10 times 10 is 100. So 81 is less than that. 100 is greater than that. So square root of 81 is 9. Square root of 100 is 10. So we could say that this is between 9 and 10. We could go a step further. They didn't do that here, but they could have said even which one is it closer to. And at that point, we would just be looking how far these numbers are apart from each other. So the difference between 81 and 89 is 8. Difference between 89 and 100 is 11. So this is actually a little bit closer to 9 than it is to 10. So maybe it's like 9.3 or 9.4 or something like that. Okay, again, they didn't ask us to be that specific, but we could do that even also without a calculator. Look at number 2. They want us to compare and order these numbers and locate them on a number line. So like we talked about, if we can get these all to have decimals, unless they're already like whole numbers or integers, we'll get these with the decimals on these two that I've mentioned here, and then we'll be able to compare them and put them in order. So if we do the square root of 8, just for speed's sake, if you'd use your calculator to do that, is about 2 8/10, 2.8. 2 1/4, a fourth of something you might know as 25%, or a fourth of a dollar is 25 cents. That's going to be 2.25, 2 25 hundredths. The other way you could get that is the fraction 1/4 means 1 divided by 4. If you do 1 divided by 4, you'll get that decimal there also. At that point, we can now compare these. The whole numbers parts are all the same. Whole numbers are all 2's. So now what I'm going to do is just look at the tenths place. If I need to look beyond that, I'll go to the hundredths place. But let's just start here with the tenths place. And we're going to go, we'll just go least to greatest here is usually what we do with these. So looking at the tenths place, the lowest tenths place is the 2 here. And so 2 25 hundredths. Go back to what they gave us originally though. So we're going to say 2 1/4 would come first. The next lowest tenths place position is over here on the other side, is 2.3 repeating. The next one would be 2 5/10, and then that leaves us with about 2 8/10. Remember, the original that they gave us, though, would be the square root of 8. So these would be in order from least to greatest. And then we could put them on a number line also. And these are all between 2 and 3. So maybe if we just go by tenths here. Okay, we can just highlight the 2 1/2 mark so we can see about where we're at. So 2 1/4, 2.25 would be right there between 2 2/10 and 2 3/10. 2.3 repeating would be maybe there. And then we had 2 5/10, which is already marked. And then square root of 8, which is about 2 8/10. So that's between 2.8 and 2.9, so that's going to go somewhere in here. One other thing they could do out of this lesson is they could just give us 2 numbers and ask us to compare these. So they could say compare square root of 30 and 5 32/100. So this was where we have to say, you know, this one is greater than this one, or this one is less than this one. So same idea. We can just get a decimal for these. The second one's already a decimal. Get a decimal for the first one, and then we can compare them. So when you do that, you'll get about 5.477 and some stuff. That's really enough for us to tell, because the tenths place we can already tell what's going on here. So doing a comparison, you can do this in whatever order you want to. Either order is fine. If you want to start with the square root of 30 and put the 5 32/100 here, and then basically we can just fill in either a greater than symbol or a less than symbol. If you want to write a sentence out about it, you can too. And square root of 30 is the bigger number, so square root of 30 is greater than 5 32/100. Okay, remember it opens towards the bigger number, but we also need to know that's a greater than. Remember, the less than kind of looks like an L. Lesson 4, they want us to classify these numbers as perfect squares, perfect cubes, both, or neither. So to do that, we could try and just think about this. You know, can we do a number times itself to get 27? No. Can we do a number times itself 3 times to get 27? And the answer is yes. If you were using a calculator, the way you could do that would be you could take the square root of 27, the cube root of 27, and see if they come out evenly. So square root of 27 doesn't come out evenly. Cube root of 27 is 3. So we could say this one then is a perfect cube. Same idea for 100. We could do square root of 100. We could do cube root of 100 and see if they could come out evenly. So square root of 100 is 10. Cube root of 100 doesn't come out evenly. So we could say this is a perfect square. If you go through the process for all of these, probably know square root of 64 is 8. Cube root of 64 is going to be 4, so this would be both. 24, if we try that, neither one of those come out evenly, so that would be neither. Number 5, a gift box is a cube with a volume of 512 cubic inches. What is the length of each edge of the box? So volume is 512 cubic inches. If we take the cube root of that, then that tells us what each side length would be, which would be 8 inches. One other thing on this lesson that they are not mentioning, they could have us evaluate some things. Directions would just be evaluate, so they could say square root of 36 cube root of 729. Basically, that means just figure out what it would be if you do that. So square root of 36 is 6, cube root of 729, and that would be 27. When you do these problems, if they don't come out evenly, there probably should be a direction about, round to the nearest tenth if necessary, or something like that when you're doing those problems. Lesson 5 we just looked at. So number 1, we could do the cube root. It's cubed, so we do the cube root, which is 4. Second one, we could do the square root. Remember, when you do square root, you can add plus or minus in front of that. We got 2 possible answers. It's plus or minus 7. And then if we look at number 5, container has a cube shape, volume is 216. What are the dimensions of one face? Kind of like what we just looked at, we do cube root of 216, which is 6. It says what are the dimensions of one face. Dimensions of one face then would be 6 inches by 6 inches. Each side, each face would be 6 inches by 6 inches. So this gives you an idea of what we're looking at in lessons 1.1 through 1.5.